Experts are deeming the Adams County Courthouse unsafe and recommend that no one should be in or working at the building. If they do, they're advised to wear proper protective clothing.
That's the main takeaway of a virtual town hall meeting tonight hosted by a Chicago company that inspected the building. WGEM's Raja Maples has more on those recommendations and what that means for everyone's health and the bottom line.
We are not out to get Quincy. We are out to get Quincy's population healthy again.
More than 130 people tuned into this virtual town hall meeting Wednesday to learn more about results of recent mold testing at the Adams County Courthouse. Safe Start Environmental founder, lead tester, and meeting host Larry Schwartz began the meeting by explaining the findings along with its health risks.
Knowing what I know, and I can't say I'm absolutely right, but my strong professional opinions are work should cease in the building, and during the temporary period, maybe people that need to be there should wear proper personal protection. When they go home, they should launder their clothing and take a shower. Anyone coming in the building should wear some PPE protection at this point.
Schwartz wasn't alone in that opinion. 3 physicians who are nationwide experts in treating patients with chronic inflammatory response syndrome, also known as mold illness, agreed with Schwartz.
Based on the evaluation of your report, Larry, and based on the understanding that something like 110 employees were surveyed and over 70 of them are having symptoms, I would say that this building is not safe.
The experts agreed that the current state of the courthouse has financial effects as well, stating that Adams County could be held liable for employees' symptoms or sicknesses.
This is not about blame and shame. This is about getting this building safe so that the people who work there and the people who are in prison or doing a little time can actually have a chance at redemption with a functional brain.
In Quincy, Raja Maples, WGEM News.
And the physicians also say there are only 6 companies in the country they recommend for mold testing, and one of those is Safe Start Environmental of Chicago.
Some residents of a large Claremont County apartment complex say they're worried about leaks and possible black mold in their apartments. But they tell us that when they raise the issue with their managers, management turns around and threatens to throw them out. Local 12's Rich Jaffe got them some help and took a look at who owns it.
Listen to what we heard inside the wall of John Brumley's Daniel Court apartment. That's the sound of water dripping. There are other signs of water damage here too, like this big crack where the ceiling's separating from the wall. This also looks like black mold behind the wallpaper. John's lived here since June of 2012. I asked him if he'd ever reported the problems to management.
When you tell these people here about something around here, they won't try to put you out of here. That's just the way it is.
A couple of doors away, Jackie Riley's got it even worse. I climbed up into her attic area to see for myself.
As you go back, the roof of this place gets absolutely black.
You can bet that black is mold. She's complained too.
I told her, I said, well, then I've got a lot of mold. I'll just call the health department. And that's when she told me to get out. She told me I had to get out.
Moisture's also been leaking down Jackie's walls, and the bathroom vanity is falling apart. Last week, Jackie got this confusing notice to leave. It says delivered on February 3rd, 2014, and says the owners will start evictions January 10th, also of last year. The apartments are owned by Elon Property Management, a large company with properties in 9 states. Outside Jackie's building, a female manager named Priscilla showed up and insisted that we leave.
Please take the camera off of me. He does not own the property.
He doesn't have to own the property.
I know my rights.
No, you don't.
I'm going to call the police.
Well, you can call it. Here, I'll tell you what.
No.
I can give you the Union Township Police Chief. I've got him on my phone on speed dial.
Priscilla had another employee called 911, and Union Township Police quickly arrived. They politely explained to her that tenants have rights, and we could stay as long as we'd been invited there.
I want to talk with you about the leaks.
I have no comment.
You guys try to put us out here for nothing, because nobody wants to do
Because we
nothing
asked
around
for
here.
somebody to come do work for 2 years.
Could you turn that off? And
No, I'm not going to turn it off.
Now, as you might imagine, we did not get arrested. The really good news here is that shortly after our visit, go figure, management had a crew go over to Jackie's apartment and they started treating the place for mold. They sprayed that ceiling area with bleach, which is not necessarily the best way to deal with it, but they also hauled out, she tells me, 6 big trash bags full of rotten insulation. A number of the other residents here have also told me that they have leak problems in their units, and the best suggestion for them is to contact the Claremont County Health Department and possibly legal aid. In Union Township and still out of jail, Rich Jaffe, Local 12 News. Cammie?
And thank goodness you are, because you're really helping a lot of people with this this series that you're doing, and you've gotten such tremendous response.
We have been getting an awful lot of response, and we are trying to make it as easy as possible for folks to get in touch with us, and we can hopefully help them get those issues fixed in their homes. So we'll keep trying.
And we'll let people know in just a second how they can do that. Rich, thank you. Claremont County, like many more rural communities and townships, does not have any building maintenance code enforcement, the sort of thing building inspectors handle in the city. The only building code is for new construction, but some issues like mold do fall under the health department. If you have issues with a problem landlord, let us know. Rich has set up a special email address to make it very easy for you. As he mentioned, you can send the message to who owns it, that's all one word, who owns it, at local12.com.
The rain and the warm temps create the perfect environment for mold to thrive. WIAT 42 News reporter Mike McClanahan takes a look at how mold can break down your home and your health. Mike.
Trent, experts I spoke with say you're never going to get rid of mold completely. Every house has some of it. But when it gets out of hand, or if you're especially sensitive to the spores, mold can threaten the structural integrity of your house, not to mention your respiratory health.
You may not realize you have mold until there's a problem. For Sterling Jones and his wife, falling paint was the first clear sign.
We had just bought a new mattress. When we took all the covers off of it, it had a big spot of mold in it about this big. We had to throw it away.
Dr. Amy Bentley-Ejeskis says mold can overwhelm our natural defenses over time.
The patients will come in complaining of wheezing or shortness of breath or irritation in the nose and sinus drainage, sometimes even infected sinuses, and that's kind of a clue that maybe you need to get more information about their home environment. And the medicines we use typically to treat bronchitis or sinus infections wouldn't necessarily affect mold.
There is a simple skin test that doctors can use to find out if you are allergic to mold. Mike Ramey of Mold and Mildew Solutions says mold thrives in moist areas with poor ventilation.
Even though black molds, which is kind of a general term, have gotten a bad rep, all type of molds can be equally problematic.
Mold is most likely to attack organic material like wood, sheetrock, and paint.
And we've had those situations where that mold has gotten so bad that the framing and the support structure of the home is just almost gone.
Ramey says mold removal requires ripping out the infested surface, which can get pretty expensive. You can help prevent mold by adding a dehumidifier to any room below ground level and by keeping gutters clear and making sure crawl spaces are well ventilated. In the newsroom, Mike McClanahan, WIAT 42 News. Coverage you can count on.
I came home one day and there was an inch of water in my house.
That's how Shawnell Gatewood says it started more than 2 months ago. Since then, she's taken these pictures of the mold behind her baseboards, and she says the faulty plumbing has made her home unlivable.
I can't use the bathroom anymore. I can't use the rooms. I can't use the water. I can't wash any clothes.
The conditions have put Shawnell's 2-year-old daughter in Sunrise Hospital. One of the diagnoses, mold exposure.
With 106 temperature. 106, your brain starts to go to mesh.
Shawnell told us she's had no luck getting the housing authority to respond, but she did come home Friday to find the moldy section of her place tarped off, seemingly for repairs.
All the walls back here have mold in it. You see they covered it all up.
Shawnell shares her duplex with Mercedes Smith, who has the same mold and plumbing problems. Mercedes says a maintenance worker told her her walls would have to be torn out and pipes replaced. She calls it a hopeless feeling.
It really is. They don't do anything. They don't take care of anything. They don't even care. We pay our rent. We want to be able to live the way everybody else is living, paying their rent. That's it.
Here at Seattle Children's, they said that no one was available for an interview about this today, but they did confirm in a statement that mold was detected, and they reported it to the Washington State Department of Health on May 12th. As first reported by the Seattle Times, routine air tests detected low levels of fungal spores in several operating rooms and an equipment storage room at Seattle Children's main campus, where mold has been an ongoing problem. Since 2001, there have been at least 14 young patients infected by Aspergillus mold. 7 have died. In an email today, a spokesperson for Washington State Department of Health says the mold recently detected is a different type than the species associated with previous cases of Aspergillus surgical site infections at Seattle Children's. The agency adds at this time, no infections have been reported in patients. It's still particularly concerning for Sim Osborne.
I mean, how does this happen again and again and now again?
The attorney represents Haley Seymour's family in a lawsuit against the hospital. Her baby contracted a mold infection months after Seattle Children's had closed operating rooms to make changes because of the presence of Aspergillus. Her son, who was born with an underdeveloped heart, required surgery on October 1st. He was sent home but became sick and was brought back.
When they opened him up at Children's, his entire heart was covered in black Aspergillus mold.
Osborne says the baby's been in the hospital ever since. He describes him as a fighter, and the family's grateful for the doctors and nurses who've been by his side. Seattle Children's has said it won't comment on the pending litigation. As for the low levels of Aspergillus versicolor spores just detected, in an email, a Seattle Children's spokesperson states it is a kind of mold that generally is not associated with causing surgical site infections. Nevertheless, an expansive evaluation is underway. The hospital says several operating rooms have been closed down and will likely remain closed for several weeks. In Seattle, Natalie Swaby, King 5 News.